In the two previous parts of the fall of the Cabal for youth, we have seen that the world is actually not as beautiful as it seems. Today's world is dominated by a group of power-hungry people who exploit the world and get rich on the backs of ordinary people. Ordinary people, people like you and me, who want to live in peace, abundance and safety. We want a nice family, a beautiful home and dear friends. We long for freedom and being able to be completely ourselves. We don't want to have worries, fear of shortage, or petty arguments over all kinds of stuff. We want to be heard and be taken seriously. And the last thing we want is to be taken advantage of or to abuse the goodness of others. However, the harsh reality is different. You are born into a system from which it's almost impossible to escape. A system in which you have to fight to earn respect, in which you have to forget who you are and what you want in order to be accepted. You have no way to leave this system, so the only thing you can do is to adjust yourself. What system am I talking about? Let me explain. The moment you are born, your parents are obliged to register you at a local municipality. Here you will receive a number that will define you as a subject to the royal family or republic you live in. From this very moment on, you are subject for taxation. A new cash cow has been born. Hooray! To be able to live in the system, you will have to be trained. The system is not a natural organic form of society. To be able to adapt to it, children have to be subjected to it from an early age. Nowadays, children start kindergarten at 4 years of age as a preparation for the school system. They learn how to sit still, how to stand in line, and to only talk in the group with permission. To get prepared for kindergarten and getting used to spending hours a day without parents, children were brought to daycare centers. Some children start at the age of 3, but most are brought in a few weeks after birth. No one seemed worried anymore about the healthy bonding between mother and child. Fitting into the system seemed so much more important. The mothers fit in the system by working, the children by growing up out of home. In daycare, children very quickly experience that the world does not revolve around them at all, but that they have to wait for their turn. Even discomforts are not resolved immediately. Sleeping times are regulated, just like feeding time and playing time. Children are nurtured and fed, not cherished. There is a huge difference between growing up at home or at a daycare center. This same difference can be seen between homeschooled children and public schooled children. In a few words, the most important difference can be described as whether or not the child has developed the ability to think and feel for itself, to have its own personality, or a socially adapted one, a fake one. Our current school system has been set up in the 18th century to create obedient workers for the industries. In other words, the industrialized manufacturers needed a workforce that was punctual, compliant, and passive, which led to the establishment of public schooling systems. They created a factory model of education, where students were grouped by age and taught in a standardized, regimented manner to prepare them for factory work. Let that sink in. When entering the current school system, You are being prepared to be a factory worker, whether on the assembly line or as an office worker. In this current age of robotizing factory and office work, does it make much sense to still be trained as such? Oh yes, as the qualities of uniform, passive and compliant civilians are very much appreciated by the cabal, the school system hasn't adapted to the modern times. You may no longer be needed as a factory or office worker, but you are still socially trained to be a submissive civilian. That is why you are still taught to stand in line, keep your mouth shut, and do whatever the teacher tells you. In lots of countries, you are even obliged to wear a uniform. Why do you think that is, huh? Let me give you a hint. It has less to do with the possibility of discrimination because of your clothes than with becoming a unified, faceless and obedient member of society. You learn it's not allowed to discuss the reason behind the things you have to memorize. You learn you are not allowed to question or criticize the system. You learn you are not allowed to follow your intuition, to do what you feel like doing and when. You are taught to let go of your curiosity and obediently follow the rules of the textbooks. You learn to repeat what these books say, not what you have figured out or discovered yourself. If you fail to meet the standards, you are seen as some kind of lesser citizen. People will look down on you, ridicule you, and expel you from their midst. People will not even realize why they behave like this. They are simply programmed this way in order to ensure that the system will not be endangered. Let's see what else this system has in mind for you, shall we? If you perform well and succeed in the school system, you will be labeled as intelligent and allowed to continue on to high school and college. Here you will learn more about the working of the system, the class and political systems, on top of even more useless factual knowledge, none of which will ever be of any use to you later in life. You will learn nothing about the deeper meaning of life or how to maintain healthy relationships. You won't learn how to live without electricity or how to solve practical problems. No, the actual purpose of high school and college is that you learn to surrender and comply even more to the system. Despite your feelings as an adolescent and wanting to explore your own destiny, the system squeezes you into a stressful daily package of tests and examinations. If you pass these brilliantly, you will be allowed to attend university. Then you will be part of the top of society. These years of hard work, stress and study finally provide you with a degree, which is nothing else than a social rank confirmation. With this, you can acquire a job, which is out of reach for the lower echelons. You will make more money. But at what price? Because the system requires you to conform to the social status, you need to drive a certain car, have a certain house, and for that, in turn, you need a high mortgage. That mortgage keeps you enslaved within the system, because without an important job, you can never pay it off. For the next 40 years or so, you will spend the best hours of your day-to-day life inside an unnatural building in unnatural light, without your family or loved ones, in highly stress-generating situations. If this is actually the highlight of your life, you will probably enter a so-called midlife crisis around the age of 40. You'll wonder where things went wrong, whether this is all life has to offer, and whether you will ever get out of this. Some people make an attempt to break out of the system and as such follow their hearts. They are ridiculed by the successful slaves of the system who faithfully continue to serve their bosses until retirement. What a life! But it can be even worse. In fact, you can become even more successful. That also starts at school. You can already make a career there. You join the student council or become a class elder. Later on, you join the student union and there you make some special friends. These friends will stay with you for the rest of your career. Again, when you perform well and stand out for obedience or seem open for manipulation, people will notice you and invite you into secret societies. Here you will find yourself entangled even more in the system. You are assisted into growing a career, but are also expected to return the favor. Before you know it, you are invited to special meetings and officially admitted to the cabal. First in the lower ranks, but there you can progress too. You become a member of the World Economic Forum and are getting prepared to play a role for the cabal on the world stage. Your reward? A diplomatic status, a place above the riffraff, more important than the ordinary people. Power, prestige and money. All you have to do is remain loyal to the people who helped you get this status, and your future is assured. Sometimes you'll have to turn a blind eye to some illegal practices or get rid of an occasional scandal for someone else. In doing so, you will climb higher and higher on the ladder of social success, but also into the spiderweb of intrigue, lies and deceit you can now no longer escape. Wow, what an ingenious system! Everybody supports one another. The system seems so solid. But make no mistake, it's a house of cards. If a few cards are taken away, the entire house collapses. To prevent that from happening, all cabal members have to keep a close eye on each other, and if necessary, blackmail each other. Underneath their fancy smiles, there is fear, distrust, and envy. The cabal has shaped the whole of society in such a way that everyone participates in it, that it seems you can't escape it, that the corruption is so fast that everyone in public office seems to be involved, even those people you trust the most, such as doctors, teachers, policemen, judges, church officials, municipal officials, politicians, and the media. I was a journalist for 25 years and I was trained to lie, deceive and not tell the public the truth. We know our disinformation program is complete when everything the public believes is false. If you can't trust anyone at all, how do you shatter such a totally corrupt system? A system to which you have learned to comply with from your earliest childhood on, that taught you not to look at the mistakes of your leaders, to just let everything happen to you, in which you are bullied and excluded if you don't meet the demands of the system, in which your whole environment joins in as if it's perfectly normal and you feel like an outsider because you don't fit in. You don't breach such a system on your own. So, then are we stuck in this system forever? Is there no way out for all of us? Can you only get out of this system by actually fleeing, being on the road for the rest of your life, and having nowhere to settle? No, absolutely not. This universe is driven by natural laws, and even though it accepts deviations for a long time, it will always return to its natural order. What we need right now to build a new and honest society is a huge and massive shift in the way we see and understand life. A new perspective built on new insights. Let me explain. Have you ever seen a flock of starlings? They move as if they are one organism. just like a group of geese or other migratory or herd of animals. They know. They are plugged into a common energy, so to speak. Every species on Earth possesses this, including humans. We call this the collective consciousness or the field. Everyone is plugged into it, and what humans believe as a group is the truth for everyone. Have you ever seen a huge shift in paradigm? Every revolution is a shift of paradigm. Not only people's opinions change, but the entire basis of assumptions and theories shift to a complete opposite. Think about the shift of belief in the center of our universe, from our Earth being at the center to the Sun being at the center of it. Or the paradigm shift from a flat Earth to a spherical one in the 6th century BC. Right now, we see a paradigm shift due to artificial intelligence. People completely give up critical thinking and hand over every decision in their life to an artificial source outside of them. When this paradigm shift becomes complete, we will all be slaves of the new system. That's why people like me fight against this revolution, as it's not a positive one. If we want to change the perspective of humanity towards the age of common sense, we need to understand how paradigm shifts work. This phenomenon has been explained with a group of monkeys. It has been called the 100th monkey principle, named after groups of macaques who inhabit several Japanese islands. Some biologists fed the monkeys sweet potatoes on the beach in order to film them. As the potatoes were full of sand, some monkeys learned to wash them off in the sea. Monkey see, monkey do, and before long all the monkeys of the colony were washing their potatoes and enjoying them. The interesting part of this story is that monkeys on other islands learned to wash them much quicker than the first group, and so on. There was no contact whatsoever between the monkeys on the different islands. Something happened here that could not be proven with visual or measurable facts, but it happened nevertheless. The only way the biologists could describe it was by introducing a new paradigm, the field of consciousness. Eventually, the 100 monkey principle became commonly known. When a critical mass of the same species exhibits a certain behavior, organically the entire species starts developing that same behavior as if it was perfectly normal. Do you see where I'm going with this? What we see here is the power of collective consciousness. If enough people start to understand what is really going on in the world, the entire world will start to see it. That is why President Trump uses the term age of common sense so often. Soon people start to know that we have entered a new era. It's that simple. In other words, when the critical mass of currently compliant people start to see how society really works, that change of awareness will cause the whole society to change. And the funny thing is that this will feel like the most natural thing in the world. All systems will start to change. Corruption will be tackled and perpetrators punished. And because it's that simple, we need to use it to our advantage. We need to inform the people around us to what is going on. We need to wake people up. The new awareness will spread like the ripples made in water by a stone, or it will grow like a snowball. That's why Janet and I made these documentaries, and why I still continue making this series for you. So what can you do? Share them! Show them to as many people as possible. Start with this series as an introduction and then continue with the other series of the Fall of the Cabal. Organize movie nights and have discussions with each other, respectfully and compassionately, Waking up is painful, but oh so important. As a society, we need to reach the 100th monkey. And your contribution to that is essential. I count on you, as do the future generations. We are the ones who will change this world for the better. Will you join me? In the words of Q, where we go on, we go all.